today is a very exciting episode for all of us because we have a very special guest, Amit, with us. He's also a friend of mine. I've known him for some time now, and we're very excited to talk a bit more deeper today about your story, how you basically immigrated to Netherlands. What are you up to in life, and professionally and personally? So we're very excited to spend some more time with you today.
And that's where I think the one of the reasons why we both of us wanted to do this together is while he is someone who knows you already, I am starting from a completely blank slate. So that will have like a completely different.
And that's good.
Yeah, because for me it's I'm getting to know you for the first time. I'm genuinely curious about how your life has been, why you made the choices that you did, how you landed where you have today. So yes, very excited and also just really grateful for having you with us. And also, what we were just talking about it now that it's really cool that actually most of the setup that we are using is actually yours.
Yeah.
So that's one good reason of actually having another podcaster on your set.
We are today at Amit's holiday house, which is in near Wienenda. It's a smaller city in Netherlands where Amit spends most of his time. But without further ado, Amit, first question to you. Like, tell us a bit about your life story. Where were you born and raised, and how did you came to Netherlands?
Good question. But before I start, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. As you said, I helped you a little bit with the setup. Because mostly I'm the one who's sitting on your chair, and then I have a guest on my podcast. So it's one of the first times that I'm being interviewed.
Oh, we're very honored.
I'm still a bit nervous because of that, because I'm more used to being on the other side, and I always find that easier. Because you can just ask open-ended questions, and it's about the other guy like in front of you. But it's a really good question to start with. Where did it all start, and why? Like where I come from, and my journey. So I'm also from India, like you, from a maybe different part. Born and brought up in New Delhi. My parents originally are from the state of Bihar. They came to Delhi, I think, somewhere in the 90s. And seems like a long time back, because next year I'm already going to turn 30. I was born in Delhi and living on the little bit, I would say, outskirts, close to Noida, Mayur Vihar, in a locality.
I used to visit a friend back when I was with Philips. That was back in 2011. And Mayur Vihar is a good area.
It is.
Not outskirts anymore, I guess.
No. It's
really
very like central west Delhi, right?
I more say because we are close to Noida, and that's where I went to school. I went to school to Amity, Noida. And I'm really thankful to my parents for that they sent me to a good school where I could learn a lot, also interact with people from many different backgrounds. And I have really fond memories of the place that we lived in. We lived with a big family, with like 8 people, with uncles and aunts.
Oh, nice. Like a joint family.
Yeah. So we were living on the 3rd floor of DDA, Delhi Development Authority complex. And so also the terrace area was ours. That's how it works there. So we also had
What do you mean?
We had like kind of a area above us. So we were on the 3rd floor, and above
that's
that
where all the terrorists would stay.
Terrace. No.
Initially, I was like, okay, that's a prison society, yeah.
No, it depends on how you perceive it, but it's in Hindi we call it chat. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have fond memories of flying kites there around Independence Day.
Mhm.
Yeah, spending time with friends and families coming over.
Nice. Yeah.
Playing cricket a lot, like growing up. Sometimes football as well, but mostly cricket with like
Yeah.
people, like in the neighborhood.
Yeah, now it's nice to hang out with some of our British friends, right? And we can thank them for giving us all uh, this tradition that they passed on to us in form
Yeah,
of our
yeah.
cricket.
Yeah, that's correct. Like I think that's something from the British that's still seen in a very positive light, because the rest is like becoming more and more evident in society, and people see it more as like something from the colonial past they want to change.
Yeah.
But if you talk to someone in India and say, "Oh, cricket is like from the British, we'll get rid of it," that person will like really get angry at you.
Okay.
Because it's become such a part like of the culture, and it's
Yeah.
something one of the rare things I think that unites the whole of India.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you know what? Interestingly, I'm not 100% sure, but I read it somewhere.
Yeah.
that butter chicken is
Yeah.
not originally Indian. It's created by British people when they were in India because they couldn't handle the spice.
Yeah.
So they wanted
they sweeten the shit up.
yeah, and added cream and all because
Yeah.
somebody was saying that originally this is not how this was not a dish.
No.
They created to suit their palate.
The Punjabi in
Yeah.
me is not willing to accept that at all.
Yeah. So that's what.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, they're more, and yeah, this is maybe something that might not be proven or might be, but one thing that is proven that a lot of people, because I'm a lot into food and cooking as well.
Oh yeah.
What I realized is that chili peppers don't come from India, so they were bought by colonial like people back then, like
Traders,
Portuguese
yeah.
and all,
Yeah,
from
okay.
Mexico and from Latin American countries.
Very interesting.
So till that point, we only had salt and pepper. So Indian food was not spicy till the point like settlers arrived in India.
Oh.
So this is something people find like really absurd to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you look back in the history books, like just chilies any kind were not growing on the Indian subcontinent back in
Wow.
the time.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So at what point of your life did you know that you wanted to move out of India?
Yeah.
Or did you know that at all? Or it was
I think I had shades of like curiosity when I was young, and we went to holidays like within India. We mostly went to like hill stations like Shimla, Manali, sometimes Jaipur, like really close by.
Yeah.
And then I would be always intrigued by people from different cultures, like people who don't look like me, people who don't look Indian.
Yeah.
It can be like people from Europe, like white people, or it can be people from Africa. I would see them, and I would really go up and strike a conversation directly with them about their cultures, where they come from, what brought them to India.
and this is where, like, was that whenever you were traveling?
Yeah. When I was young, so when we went on holidays, I think earliest memory goes back to when I was, I think, 10.
Mhm.
From that time,
Mm.
like when we used to travel, that my English was not the best at that moment, but I would still go. If I have an example, we were going with the train to Jaipur from Delhi, and I think I was around 16. And there was an Australian couple on the train just sitting in front of me, and the seat next to them was empty. So I just went, sat there, started talking to them. Although English was a native language, it was easier for them, but they were really friendly, and they wanted to tell me all about Australia. We talked about cricket because it's also big in Australia. And interestingly, I'm still connected to both of them.
Oh wow! And this is
Especially
like
the guy. Yeah.
13 years ago. This.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
on social media we are still connected, and he invites me to Australia. He says like, yeah, whenever you're in Australia, you have to visit me.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's when it started. Like, and once I completed my bachelor's in Delhi, I did after my schooling at Amity Noida. I did my bachelor's at Ambedkar University, Delhi, in economics for 3 years. Also, fun story. Like, it was like amazing. Like, I played a lot of cricket again, made like really nice friends in that time. But then I realized I also want to get to know about the life of people I used to meet back then when I used to travel, like in trains or on holidays, like with my parents. So I just wanted to see like what other cultures are like, because although I knew that India is like at that time the second most populous country in the world, like Delhi is really like one of the most populous cities in the world with like 30 million plus people. But still, for me, it was like living in a bubble because everything was so similar back home. So I wanted to get out of that and see what is out there.
So you're not saying it has anything to do with pretty Australian women?
No. It has nothing to do. Yeah, it's a coincidence that I'm currently married to a Dutch woman. But yeah, my motive was to get to know what's outside, what is not familiar to me.
And that was the first time when you start thinking about moving outside.
Yeah, I had like that thought since I finished school. For my bachelor's, but I always thought I was not very clear what I want to do for my bachelor's, and also I
This
did
is true for about, I think, 90+% of the people who do bachelor's back home.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Similar.
So I thought it's a big risk, and especially for my hardworking parents, to ask them, because I was never like a student, like a brilliant student who would get like top grades, who would get like a scholarship to go abroad. I did apply to a few, but I never got a scholarship. So, and a bachelor's is mostly like 4 years or something, 4 years. So I thought it's a big burden, financial burden on my family, and also knowing, as you said, that you're still exploring. You don't know what you'll end up doing, and after your bachelor's, you have more of an idea. If you want to continue in that field and do your master's, that's a different like ball game, I think. And then I knew, so I had like a passion for economics, and I completed my 3-year course, and I applied to universities abroad. And yeah, that's how I ended up in Netherlands. Like one of the professors even at my university suggested me Netherlands, especially Wageningen University, like because in our talks he saw my passion for agriculture, for food related things, and this university is well known for it, like around the world. So yeah, that's how I landed up here.
And which year was that?
2015.
Okay. And so you came here to do your like masters for 2 years.
Yeah, in August 2015. Yeah, that was the plan initially. But I ended up staying in Wageningen. I did my study for 2 years. In that time, I encountered a lot of challenges as an international student. One of the challenges I would say is getting like student assistant jobs, because that was tied to your residence permit. So international students, they couldn't work in that time, or if they could work, there would be like a lot of hassle to get your work permit so that you can work like a student assistant.
And what's a student assistant?
When like teachers give like courses at universities, they have a lot of work, like in terms of evaluation, in terms of preparing lectures and stuff. So especially here, I'm not sure it was not done in my university in India, but here it's the norm. So they often get students who are willing to help, but also want to make some side money to help them out. So they have budget for that. So those students are helping out with the evaluation things, with preparing the course, with group work kind of things. So it's often not in the class where like they are from, like it's someone in the same field, but like they are not part of the students who are there, but who's helping out the teacher prepare the course, give the course and stuff.
And you said that it was difficult for international students to get this.
At that time, it was very difficult.
And now it's easier.
We are working on that now. So now, that's the thing. Like I ended up again at the university.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. But you could have also looked at jobs which were not necessarily student assistant, right? Like you could have also worked outside somewhere. And that could also have been a way to definitely get some side money. But so why did you not go for that?
It brings me to like, that's actually what I did. So I didn't do any student assistant jobs in the end. I'm happy about it also, but I also think that I missed out on something. But
Yeah.
I gained also from it because a friend of mine who was also studying on the same campus, a different university,
Mhm.
and he comes from Maharashtra. His name is Ashish.
Mhm.
He was also doing some side like jobs, and he was working at a restaurant as a dishwasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that time, they really were looking for people
Yeah.
to work
Yeah.
in the kitchen, for example.
Yeah.
And he introduced me like
Mhm.
to the owner, and I ended up working like for a few months at a restaurant in the kitchen, like as a dishwasher, and sometimes helping with like yeah, serving and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I also like got more passion for like food and
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship
Yeah.
in general.
Did that humble you a little bit?
It did.
Because
It did.
it's
Yeah.
back home.
Yeah.
It would be looked down upon, right?
It is.
Like
Yeah.
it's not something that you're studying at an NIT or an
Yeah.
IIT
Yeah.
or whatever, and to make some side money that you're actually working at a restaurant. Oh,
Yeah.
that you would.
Yeah.
Like even I like. Of course, now I think we live in an environment where the mutual respect for any profession. I remember a friend of mine the other day. She went on a date
Mhm.
with a guy who was at like a speed dating event,
Yeah.
and so the guy is like very confident, and very confidently like she asked him like, "Hey, what do you do?"
Yeah.
And he says like, "Yeah, I'm a garbage collector," and there was not even like a shred of him feeling
Yeah.
that it's a lower job or anything. He mentioned it in as cool and calm way
Yeah.
as any business professor would say that I'm a business professor.
Yeah.
So how was that for you? How did that change your psyche?
Mhm.
Do you remember any particular moment
Yeah.
where you felt
Yeah.
which kind of also reminded me, because sometimes I have seen
Mhm.
that I go to a restaurant and I look at someone who is working, and that kind of takes me back to how we a lot of times we treat the chotus, the way sometimes we call the waiters,
Mhm.
and that's like a very big difference between
is.
the culture. So
Yeah.
so how
Yeah.
how do you have a moment? Do you have a story which you can share with our viewers?
Yeah, of course. Like I knew that it would be looked down upon by friends and family back home, because in India there's a different
Yeah.
culture. Especially if you go to study at a university and you say in India, "Oh, I'm also, by the way, washing dishes like at a restaurant."
Yeah.
They would not understand that.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the best decision I made at that age in my life. I was like 21, 22, and that really made me independent. And also realized the importance of money, because before that I would say I didn't know the value of money, because my parents had been supporting me up until like my master's, paying for my tuition fee, for my living in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And I know like I was very like straightforward about it, tell them that I want to do this, and that I want to take up this job just to
Them is
my parents.
Parents,
Yeah,
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although there was a lot of resistance to say, "Oh, you should focus on your studies. You have
Yeah,
failed
yeah.
some courses."
Yeah, we'll send you the money. Don't worry about the money.
Yeah, that's
It's
exactly
okay.
the
Yeah.
mentality of them. But I said, no, this is the time. I'm living abroad like by myself already, like for around a year.
Yeah.
And I want to go out of my comfort zone. And it's normal in the Dutch culture that children or teenagers, they find like work. It can be anything, like from working in a supermarket to a restaurant, to cleaning something at someone's place.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity from my friend, so I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But the moment I, as you say, like realized that that this was the best decision I could ever make, is that from the first money that I earned, I bought new hockey shoes, because I was playing in like sneakers hockey, and I would often like see people looking at me like, how do you I would just struggle, like sometimes the coach would also say me, "Oh, maybe you should get like some hockey shoes."
Yeah.
And sometimes he would also say, "Oh, you can also get it like second hand or stuff." And
Yeah, but I do have to say, like sometimes like here hear people like overdo it.
Yeah.
Like you were telling me about Swiss people that they have going to the gym shoes, they
Yeah.
have running shoes, hiking shoes, going to the bar shoes.
Yeah.
There's like there are
Yeah,
probably a
it's
few more categories.
There's a
Yeah.
item for every occasion.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but that I realized because I started playing hockey already at that time, and I realized that I cannot play hockey in my day-to-day shoes because you play on the turf, and especially the artificial turf. The game has got like really fast over the years. Like back in the days when India was really good and won like gold medals in the 1930s, 40s.
Yeah.
You used to play still at the grass field, and they used to play barefoot then. And now, because of all the changes that have happened in time, like they play on this artificial turf and it's really, really fast.
Yeah.
You can really injure yourself. I've like fell down many times, like while running because the shoes are really, really like flat. They don't have any grip. So you have like special shoes. So you can say that because of like all the marketing campaigns, they are like creating different kind of like needs in that way. Yeah, but the point is like I realized how hard I had to work, how many hours, because I still remember how much I was getting paid that time, because again it was not allowed, so I was doing it like under the table, so I would get cash for it, like what I would do, and they would know that this guy is doing like working illegally, so. He doesn't have any negotiation.
Power in the equation.
Take whatever you can.
So I would work sometimes really, really hard, and at the end of the day, I would end up with like 30 euros or something. I would be earning like 4 or 5 euros an hour.
Yeah.
So I had to work. You can calculate. My shoes were like costing at that time 120 euros, which was a big amount for me back then. I had to work like a whole week, and I was only working in the weekend. So that means I had to work like 4 weekends only to afford a pair of hockey shoes.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized like how grateful I should be to my parents who like working like day in, day out, almost all their lives to have like a good life for me and my sister.
And when you were facing this struggle, it seems like now looking backward that you did manage to overcome them successfully. But I can also imagine at that time, at that age, would not have been that easy as you're describing it now.
Yeah.
So did you face like internal challenge as well? Because I can imagine moving even within India can be challenging, and many people resist that.
Yeah.
But you moved all the way to another continent where people also look very different. Everything systems are different. So what were you going through internally at that time?
Yeah, it's a good question because usually, like these talks, people only talk about the successes. I also like to talk about it, but I think it's the weaknesses, the negative moments that make you even stronger. And I had them as well. Like when I moved there, I felt like I'm always the odd one out, wherever it be, like in lectures. It would happen sometimes.
Was there like a primarily like white?
Also the courses that I followed, it would be like that. So
mostly Europeans.
And mostly Dutch even. So I did follow some bachelor courses as a bridging to my masters, and I would be the only Indian. And then when we have to choose like groups among ourselves, I would see that Dutch would stick to them, and I would always be the one left alone. I realized it later because it would be it's nothing bad against me, but there is some kind of a bias in their mind, or it's also possible. I realize that they just want safety. They want someone who speaks Dutch, who's easy to collaborate with.
Like many of us.
We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. So I take it in good light back then, but there were many challenges. The biggest one is that I failed all my courses in the first half year when I came there.
Oh, really?
All of them.
I did.
And how many were there? Like 6, 7? Or?
They were like in half a year. They're like 2 periods. We are 6 periods in a year. So I think every period you have 4 or 5. I think maybe 7, 8 courses.
All of them.
And what would you say was like the primary reason for that? Because I don't think it's at least that's my gut feeling that it has not much to do with your intellectual capability, but
no,
there's something else. And what would be that?
I think distraction. I would say a lot. Like
So it
being
was
overwhelmed.
it was the European girls after all, not Australian. That's the I
Yeah.
was wrong there. I'm distracted by that.
Yeah. I would say like the party culture here as well, because when you come to the university to study, like if you go in India, you expect directly, you enter in a lecture hall.
Yeah.
But here, I entered like in a party environment, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where they start. Like they have these annual introduction days
Yeah.
at the beginning of all, and then there are like people from different countries. They're grouped together, and it's like basically one big party for a whole week.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I had that hangover till like the first year, from the 1 week of partying. Like I just thought like, what is this? Like this is just so different from
What
what
you're
I'm
used
used
to,
to
yeah.
back home.
Yeah.
And also exploring new things, like joining a hockey team, spending a lot of times on things. I thought like I joined like dance classes again, maybe for the girls, as you said, like salsa, kizumba. I used to just try new things out,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
go to student associations, study associations.
Yeah.
So I see it like more in both in positive and negative light, because
Yeah,
I learned more things about
I
life.
started getting distracted only a bit later in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I learned bachata, but that's only like just 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely the difference in
Yeah.
in the culture here versus like the culture there.
Yeah.
Where it's really drilled into your head. You know, you study,
Yeah.
and then after you're finished, then you can enjoy.
Yeah.
But here it's like, you know, you start enjoying, and then at one point you just you see you either you just get used to it, or or you keep doing that forever.
Yeah, so I many like after that I had also a lot of guilt, because again thinking that my parents are supporting me and here I'm wasting their money and really not like focusing on one thing I should do, that is study. I slowly worked on that, like, and then the winter hit as well. I think most of us know summer is amazing. I thought, oh, the sun goes down at 11, like this is I'm never tired, I always have energy.
Yeah.
But in winter it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, you're really looking for that moment of sunshine, which is not there. And also coming from India, like with the darker skin color, you know, you need more vitamin D. I didn't know all that about health and stuff, so I always felt like drained. I was depressed. I was really stressed. Also, one of the reasons why I failed my courses on the second part of the half a year, because it was in winter. I used to go to student psychologists, get help and stuff, and then one of them directed me, said, "Oh, you should go and see a doctor, because maybe you are not able to perform the way you are, because you're just not feeling good. Like you don't have the energy to study."
It's also medical.
Yeah. So I went and I was shocked by the results, because the first thing that they did is a vitamin D test, because the doctors knew that I came from India.
Yeah.
It's my first winter in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And luckily they said in that time it was also part of like the insurance. Otherwise, a lot of people also think about that. Oh, that's an extra cost, so I did not do it. And usually, normally people's vitamin D, I don't know the real values, but like in terms of number, it's somewhere between 70 and 100. That's a good value. And my value was 9. Like it was single digits. So that means if I would continue like this, the doctor said that to me, your bones will like really literally, like when you're playing hockey, they will really crack. And that will really, like, you're prone to like stress fractures and stuff, because your body doesn't have the reserves of vitamin D and we have to do something about it. So they gave me like really high dosage of vitamin D, and I saw the difference. And since then I've really continued that. And because now I was predominantly vegetarian, I did try like some chicken and fish when I was there, because the culture differences. People go to like McDonald's and stuff, and everything like on pizzas. But now afterwards, like when I became vegetarian, even vegan after that, vitamin B12 as well. So D and B12, and that's something I have realized, like whenever like I feel bad, I always go to see like if my diet is good, because if these levels and like my iron levels and every, like, so whenever I'm in India, I get like a blood test done to see if that is not cause of the problem. And I don't want to say that if you don't have like any physical issues, then you cannot have like mental challenges and stuff like stress and depression. You can still have them. But if you focus on the physical part first, and you're working out on a daily basis, you're eating good, you're like taking care, you get all your vitamins and minerals in. So that's already a good start. You have a head start to most people. So that helped me.
So I want to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious to know, because Pallav has mentioned just a little bit.
Yeah.
What's your life like right now? What excites you? What really gets you going? What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
And I know that you are also a podcaster. I looked at a couple of them.
Yeah.
And also doing entrepreneur. You have your entrepreneurial dreams.
Yeah.
So just give us a flavor of that.
Yeah.
I really want to know, what is it that makes you do it? Why?
That drives me.
Yeah.
That keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question.
And maybe like a couple of like some stories where you felt like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do have them, especially one like it's related to the business that I'm doing. So that's where I would also start. So yeah, it happened, I think, after I finished my studies. I was part of the student council. I finished that. Through the career office, I got a job in Rotterdam at a fruit import company.
What year was that?
2018.
18.
Yeah, so from 18 to 21, I think just after COVID, I worked at a fruit import company in the quality department. Also got to go to India to meet farmers there, because we were importing fruits.
Nice.
From India, South Africa, South America. Also saw a lot of stuff that was quite exciting at that time, because I was working at the port of Rotterdam. So a lot of times they would seal the entire area because they would find like drugs in one of the pallets sent from a Latin American company. Hear stories from my colleague about the mafia and stuff. Like usually you would only see like series and stuff about it, but I really was in that.
It was real.
Yeah,
it was real.
It was real back then. Like not for me personally, but like hearing all this around me, seeing like everything happen. That's a different story. But yeah, 3 years I was there. At that time in 2017, I met my current wife. And we were already like spending time together. And I felt like a bit stuck in my job like back then. After that, like after some time, it became a bit like monotonous.
And how did you meet your current wife?
Online, on
yeah.
Tinder, just trying to meet new people.
Classic.
Back then,
The current classic.
Yeah.
I think back then it was just Tinder, right? Or was there?
It was It was not that. I don't even know the names.
Maybe
of
it was
ones.
launched, but maybe not here. So it was. That's the whole. Tinder was the king, right?
Yeah, and it was also in that time they didn't even have the super like function and stuff. It was really basic,
right?
2017, already like 6 years back. So
before the algorithm started to decide who you should be seeing and who you should be dating, right? Good old days.
Yeah, that's right. And I just felt stuck, and I wanted to do something that really makes a difference. I think our basic needs are already met thanks to like the hard work of our previous generations. We are at a point where we are not satisfied with just having our basic needs met. So we want to go like beyond that. And that's when, and I think COVID was a good realization moment for a lot of people, including me as well. So I wanted to start something. My first idea was to start with just catering stuff from home, because I really enjoyed cooking in that time already, along with my wife. We were cooking together, trying out new recipes, video calling with my mother. Like she would tell new recipes and we would try it out in the kitchen. So I thought, anyway, people are sitting at home, so let's like just start some kind of a cloud kitchen thing. And
that's here in Winnendaal.
No, that was in Dordrecht, close by Rotterdam.
So you were living there at that time.
Yeah. So but my wife said, why not like teach the people, like give like workshops, because that is something it's really part of like the Dutch culture, not really culture, but like it's people like that. Because back in India, I never heard like who would like learn Indian cooking from me. because everybody knows best, you know,
Yeah,
like
it's
everybody has,
expert, yeah.
everybody wants their like mother's home cooked food. Like, why would they go to a cooking class? Like for me,
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? Like it's of course, like in India, it's completely different because most of us never have to cook.
Yeah.
Which is a different part of the story.
Yeah.
But yes, if someone was interested, then if there was someone who was teaching Italian cooking or Mexican cooking, then yes, people
Exotic
would
food,
be, yes,
I mean,
then
yeah.
people would be interested. And here, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
For them, Indian cuisine is like expensive.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily as authentic as it is back home.
Yeah.
So getting to learn that from someone who really comes from the country
Culture,
and
yeah.
knows the way it is done back home,
Mm.
it is something that I have seen many people get really excited for.
Yeah, so exactly that. And that's what happened. Like the first workshop we gave was online because everything was closed. All the gyms, social like places, everything was closed. Like it was like in the worst lockdown moment in the Netherlands. Although Netherlands didn't really have a lockdown, but
Yeah.
a lot of places were shut where you
Yeah.
can meet people.
Yeah.
So we had like 50 people attending our first cooking class and
Wow.
online. So
Oh,
yeah, that
That's
was
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So it was like such a big eye opener that oh, I just had to like start something, and maybe I got lucky. But as you said, because we were different, they would like to learn something from an Indian person, and from there, the passion for cooking kept increasing, and more to also show people a side of India that they don't know about. So also a lot of storytelling through food. We currently have a cookbook as well that we wrote in 2021. So coming even further. So in that time, we kept giving workshops. I quit my job already. We sold our apartment back there. We backpacked in Europe like for a couple of months. After that, one more month. Really basic, like having a tent with us, no
and
electricity.
during that time, you were still doing the workshops online or not?
No, when we were traveling, not.
Then
Yeah,
not. Okay.
yeah. That was more from the savings from the 3 years
Yeah.
that we had. So we were exhausting our savings and some profit that we made from the home. We wrote a cookbook. But one thing that keeps coming forward is that first of all, it's vegan. So it's plant-based, no dairy and meat products. So that is really growing in the Netherlands. Also, people are seeking more knowledge about healthy plant-based alternatives, food. Eating less and less meat. So I think that also played a little bit in our advantage.
Yeah.
Our cookbook was directly like successful, I would say. We have already sold like half of the books that we printed. So it's every month we sell a few books. In the book also, like there's a story behind everything, you know, like story about India in general, about Indian food, Indian kitchen.
Nice.
And every like recipe has a beginning where we tell about like a little bit about the history of that recipe, where it comes from. Maybe some member of my family who really likes that recipe. I mentioned that this is the favorite food of Amit's grandmother, for example. And
That sounds cool. We'll definitely put the link to the cookbook in the description.
Yeah, it's in Dutch for now because we didn't have like a big audience in English because we do everything in Dutch.
Ah, right. Okay.
But that's what drives me, because that answers your question a little bit too. And it also goes back to my own experience, right? Because I said to you, I was feeling bad. My vitamin D levels were really down. My health was really bad because I was also in that time eating like junk food, like deep freeze pizzas and fries and stuff. I gained a lot of weight and felt just really, really bad. So I've made it like a thing for me personally, and I agree also to some extent also for my wife. Life mission to teach people that they can eat food that not only benefits their health in a positive way, but also is good for the environment. And also good for the people, like in general. Like I think it's very basic, but every workshop that I give, and what motivates me is that, it happens a lot of time that someone who like eats meat in general, he attends our workshop and says, oh, at the end they say we didn't miss the meat at all. Like we really like the food, and we want to have it that way, like vegetarian. That really like motivates me to also kind of live my own culture in a way, like because I also tell stories while we give workshops.
Nice.
That's a little bit.
And is that now your main activity, you would say, which you're doing, or main business?
It is, yeah.
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 So giving
yeah.
workshops on vegan cooking.
Yeah. When we are in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But we also want to be more flexible, spend more time in India with my parents, and just in general in India, especially also for our son. He's now almost 6 months old. That he
Nice.
also gets.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. That he also gets part of the Indian culture.
Yeah.
That we want to spend more time in India, and when we are in India, we have now started with it. We don't know what else we would do in order to like generate income, because that is all secondary to us. Because I realized when you do like something really from the heart, like the income would follow. And for us, we really just want our basic needs met, and that's really enough. And in India, you also know you don't really need a lot to live like a okay life where you have like food, shelter, and
So
still for
I have a
people, it's
lot of
difficult.
questions on that.
Yeah.
So for people who may be watching this podcast, or a lot of people who either are expats or maybe have aspirations to live in a foreign country and live that kind of lifestyle, it doesn't seem like that you have followed a conventional path. And also, like if somebody wants to do entrepreneurship, even from that standard, your path doesn't sound conventional.
No.
So how or when did you came to this realization that, oh, this is, I don't want to follow the run of the mill kind of practice, and maybe aspire to become a CEO of a foreign company in a foreign land, or have my tech startup, or this kind of thing? When did you realize that, and how much role has been played by your partner?
Yeah,
Because you mentioned her a couple of times.
I did.
So I'm just curious, how did that evolution happen? That you obviously would have thought, oh, I'll live here, I'll have a house, a car, which you already have, by the way. But we come up with a stereotypical image, right? 99% of expats come with the stereotypical aspirations. When did you how did that journey happen, and what role did your partner play? Because it seems she did is an important part of your life.
I think the
Partner
most
and
important.
also the environment around you.
I think both played a role, but I think especially my partner. I think most of the credit goes to her from the time that she suggested we give cooking workshops. Like I felt stuck and I didn't know how to get out of it when I was in my previous job. And what would really help me, like the conversations with her when I would come back home. So we don't even have a TV at home. Back then we had one, but we usually sometimes watch some shows, but mostly like to learn new like subjects. But we would have a lot of conversations, just sitting on the couch, having a cup of tea and talk about stuff. So that really helped. And from a young age, she was very entrepreneurial. So and very daring as well, because at the age of 16, she went to Malawi for the first time. It was in a group. But she took that step while most of her friends were going to party in Ibiza and Spain and stuff. She chose the unconventional part. She went to Malawi, saw the stark difference between a place where she is born and brought up in, and where you don't even have toilets, like in many parts. So that was
my geography is failing me. Where is Malawi?
Malawi is in sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan.
big on the southern side.
I'm sure.
I think quite close to South Africa, Botswana.
In terms of financial things, it's the poorest country in Africa. But in terms of like love and affection, just warmth, it's the richest. That's what my wife says.
Community.
They do also have lions.
Of course.
So I think I would even go ahead and say that I wouldn't have taken up this step to go all into like our like company if it was not for her.
So what what were your other options? What were you thinking for a better
Get
job?
another job. Yeah, I did that as well. Again, got exhausted. I joined.
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, I just after my job, like at the fruit company.
2021, you joined
another company.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that would solve the problem, but she already knew the answer. But she let me do it to just realize it for myself.
And how did
I
she give
think-
the answer? Like,
She knew that like I just feel stuck being in a cabin like.
And what was
you know,
she doing during this time?
yeah.
She was working part time at at a job. Like she also studied. She was still figuring out what she wants to do.
Right,
She studied media management.
Right.
She went then again. She went to Malawi at 16, but at 19 she went back again to Africa. This time by herself, backpacking in Southern Africa, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, I think also. Yeah, she will correct me if I'm wrong. But all the Southern African countries, most of them she has visited.
Wow.
And she went by herself and like really adventurous, like hitchhiking and stuff. She has done stuff like that.
So what was that part she brought back with her? Like, so I understand she went by herself, so she's daring and she is a traveler.
I think the best part that she got back is that material things can never buy you happiness. Because back home, I think she would see in family and friends that everyone would want every 2 years a new car.
New
Like
phone.
they would want like like
New
all the
iPhone.
material stuff.
But
But
new iPhone has come out.
yeah. So that was really a thing like among her friends and some family members. But for her, she realized in Africa that true happiness doesn't have to be related to money, in a way. So I think that's what like I also learned from her because when I had my job, I also went for those things and I saw that she was not really supporting me in that, and I realized that now. So I went. I have to say I had a lot of help from my parents also. They helped me also financially, not only during my studies, but also part about my first car. They were like really proud also about it. I was also very proud. I bought like almost a new car, like spent 20,000 euros on it and stuff. But I realized later on, it's not worth it. We got rid of everything and to lead a more simpler life and to pursue our dreams, like things that really make us happy, to connect with people, to like as I mentioned, like teach people the benefits of eating Indian food, like healthy Indian cooking.
I have two questions on that. When this transition happened exactly to 2021,
I would say 21, 21 already.
When you left your this job in import, fruit import. And was it like in a burst, or was there an overlap when you were also living your part materialistic life, but also started already with giving the first workshop? Like what was the overlap like?
That was in 2020, I think towards the end, we gave our first workshop. I was still working. And I think I stopped after 3-4 months. So March or April, I stopped.
With the job.
Yeah. Because I realized we already did it like for a few like workshops. We realized that this is really picking up. So we should go all in. And then it was also risk. So what we did is I think the idea started just after COVID. I think I was back from India in March. So from March to March, 1 year, we realized already back then that this is where it is leading to. So let's already save. So we were really frugal. We saved like a bunch of money so that we can at least afford a life for 1 more year. And we say, okay, let's take this risk. We do everything for 1 year. The worst case scenario, we go back to like square one. We exhaust our savings. We sold our apartment. So we also got some money from there. So we could even make it to 2 years or something, like if we lived frugally. We tried that and it worked. And I would even say the life of an entrepreneur is like you always struggle. Doesn't matter like how much funding you have or anything. It can be over like in one instance. And so I think we are still doing that. So I still work at the university 3 days a week. I don't have to do that. I started with 2 days. But then again, we would have to struggle a little bit like financially because every month is different. Like the amount of workshops
It's
we can
variable, right?
And so it's still an ongoing process.
And like the question which maybe many people would think about, because you told the story how you started, is the golden question of visa, work permit,
Yeah.
passport.
Yeah.
Like, where is that coming in? Because I don't hear a lot of, maybe there was struggle, but would you want to share, like, how did you navigate that part? Because we come from India or any other, let's say, uh, developing country where the passport is not necessarily strong. How did you navigate that part? Like,
Yeah, it's something. I think everything changed after I met my wife, because before that, even during my study, there were moments. I think if my parents are listening, they would hear it for the first time. That I almost packed my bags to go home. Like I was so homesick, like in the Netherlands, that I didn't feel like part of the culture, the society. I just wanted to go home. While after I met my wife, I realized that like she brought a different perspective into my life. Like it doesn't have to be India or the Netherlands, you know. Like you can also be just a global citizen, or you don't have to feel really like identify with like one culture in general. And we really liked spending time with each other, and we thought we want to do it so that we like go ahead with a relationship, and what all we need to do for that. So there were moments when we realized that I cannot quit my job because would have problems with my residence permit.
exactly. Yeah.
So I waited that time, exactly that amount of time that I could get a permanent residence. So I think you have to live 5 years.
5 years. Yeah. It was still the same in
it was
your
still
time.
the same.
So you waited. So you were a little bit practical about that aspect, but while this was building up in the
It was,
background. Because in US, UK, Australia,
a lot of stress.
Dubai, they don't even give anything.
Yeah.
In all these countries, all these super talented friends of ours, highly qualified, highly earning, 99.9% people, even till this day, this is like after 12 years of graduating.
Yeah.
It's still the at least the top first or top three items of discussion whenever I talk to them. And these are all folks like super senior.
Yeah. And again, I think that's what it is, right? Like it's one part which is like you are in this jail.
Yeah.
And
that was exactly the year I talk about, from March 2020 to March 2021. That was the time that I knew I have to keep working, although I didn't want to. Because I was giving my exams for the language as well. I was applying as well. I just finished my 5 years in the Netherlands in 2020. In September, to be honest, 2020. That's when I was 5 years in the Netherlands, so I could like get a permanent residence. But there's a whole process to it. I think Dutch process is much simpler than US. Like people, they spend a lifetime to get like a Dutch passport and a green card. Myself, I would not have the patience to go that far. But I knew that, okay, I am 5 years in the Netherlands. I have an opportunity to be more flexible, to be in the Netherlands when I want, to be in India when I want, also carry on work there. Same for my wife as well. So that's something I can do. So it was difficult for me. And also COVID didn't make it easy as well. But for me, that was like that 1 year. And before that, I was busy with so many other things, like navigating my new job. Like as I mentioned, I went to India to meet farmers. The whole environment in in Rotterdam at the port, meeting friends, like going out for like dinners at like the Euromast, at the tallest building, like and stuff. So I was so preoccupied with, as you say, also the material side of the things, and just with life in general. So I never thought about that and stuff, because as I mentioned, I was homesick at quite a lot of times. I always thought, what is the worst case scenario? I go back to my parents, and that would be for good. So that was my thinking. My wife, I thought, what am I doing? Like I met someone from a different culture, and I like her so much now that this might force me to live in a country where I would not want to live like for the rest of my life. But luckily, that's also one of the reasons I was attracted to her. She's very open to live anywhere in the world, as long as we are together as a family. So
that's what you would also just mention a couple of minutes back, right? And also in the beginning that you are planning to live in India long term, like more,
Yeah.
like
Spend more time in
Spend-
India. I
yeah.
don't know exactly how much more time, but yeah, because we from now on leading a freer life also means for us not planning way ahead in time.
Mhm.
So what we have done, this is the first time we have done, we just book like a one-way ticket. We'll just book like a one-way ticket to India at somewhere next year, maybe March or something, and yeah, we'll see how things go from there. And we would not have like a really proper place here, so that's why we have, like as you said, this holiday home, which you can also rent out when you're not there.
Yeah.
So that makes things more flexible for us. So we don't have to worry about expenses like in Netherlands while we do like work in India, and we can focus on building our business.
And what exactly do you guys have planned to do in India?
We are going to give tours, group tours, and the first one is already full. That's in March, end of March,
Mhm.
and the second one is in April. So we, with a group of 12 people, some people have already followed workshops with us, showed interest in visiting India, getting
Yeah.
to know more about India, following workshops in India. So we also have 2 cooking workshops organized for those people in India.
Oh, nice.
Most of them are women, single women. We have 10 women who would usually, because of what they see on media, not prefer to travel alone to India,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but they feel safe to be with us.
Yeah.
In a big group, and we just do the Golden Triangle part of Rishikesh, where they can follow some yoga lessons.
Yeah.
Go to Jim Corbett National Park for like a couple of safaris. And later on, also like in Kota, as you mentioned, like there's a new national park there.
Yeah.
So
We
this
can,
is something in the making.
definitely.
Like we do like couple of groups now.
Mhm.
First of all, it's like see like if we like it, that's
Of
important.
course, yeah.
And if the people like it, and if they like it, they'll talk about it with more people. And that's how when we are in India, we want to
And
set this up.
how did you land on this? Like going to India,
Yeah.
spending more time makes sense. You have family now. Maybe she wants to also spend time with your parents. And
Yeah.
you. But how did this idea came of? Oh, let's organize a group tour from
Again,
here.
From my wife, I would say.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think she should be sitting
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think she's the real CEO. I'm someone, I would say, like I'm working like 24/7 for her, like on all
CEO, yeah.
departments. Yeah. Yeah. So she
we
comes up with
we
these new
didn't
plans.
discuss about like having her as well together.
No, it just didn't come to mind because I also couldn't meet her last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was also
But,
currently busy, so
yeah.
it's a bit difficult. But we could plan maybe sometime later. Like,
You
although
guys,
I would say she's very shy to be on such platforms, and she's like a more silent worker type.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
just an open invite. You guys
Yeah.
should come to Amsterdam
Yeah.
and maybe we cook at my place or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Or we go out to an Indian restaurant, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, sure.
We have like I recently found like a
Yeah.
Okay, so it came from her.
Yeah.
But but it's a different kind of idea.
It is.
Physical, more
Yeah.
like going somewhere.
It goes to our tagline is not really the word, but our like motto. Because if you go on our website, it's called HeyGroentje.nl.
Yeah.
HeyGroentje.nl.
Mhm.
So in Dutch you say HeyGroentje, and HeyGroentje really means like hey is just hey in Dutch, and Groentje is like someone who's a rookie who starts off exploring something new.
Okay.
So like so we are kind of, it's like kind of a nudge to someone who's new to something, to a new concept. So the concept of India, for example, like Indian food, Indian cuisine, Indian travel. So it says discover India with us. So that's our motto. So we want to live it and discover India with us. It fits also in the travels that we will organize, but it also fits in the cooking workshops that we give in the Netherlands. And everything we do around India. So later on, I'm really into yoga and meditation as well. We have also plans of starting a yoga retreat in India, somewhere in the mountains, where we like have a place where people can come and stay like a month or something. So we have everything that has to do with the Indian culture, and I'm really happy that from the first time that she went to India, it was difficult the first time that she went, but from what I told her about like India before and the Indian food, she accepted it like wholeheartedly, and she genuinely appreciates it and feels part of it as well now.
Yeah.
So that really helps us. And we also have a Dutch touch to it because she's from the Netherlands, so that also helps.
Yeah, no, that definitely helps.
Mm.
How do you deal with we talked about balancing the money equation and how it's a bit up and down. How do you deal with the uncertainty, the worry that comes with it? Because it does seem like that, yes, while you have the cooking business established, you're kind of leaving that behind.
Yeah.
And now sort of moving on to another journey.
Yeah.
And so how does that play with your head? How, because I'm sure like whenever we've tried new ideas, it gets you. It gets to you.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of the very difficult parts about the entrepreneurial journey.
The rule you cannot answer that it's because of my wife.
No.
Answer something else.
Yeah, she definitely helps me. As I said, like when we sit down to have like sometimes these conversations, so a lot of new ideas come from it. Yeah, it's difficult. Like, what was your last part of the question?
How do you deal with that when like it does get to you? Like, do you worry?
Yeah, with the financial. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Again, I say to have a financial plan short term, that always helps because okay, if you have some kind of savings to last you like a year or something, especially in the Netherlands, because when we are in India, like I stay with my parents, it's a different culture. We have like also less
expenses
in India in general. Even if we want to live like by ourselves, travel around, like it's just cheaper than Europe,
of course.
So it's already less on the mind, like the expenses when we're in India. But when in Netherlands, we have to worry about that more. I think having like supportive parents on both sides, that really helps. Because that gives like like a cushion to us. Like we know like they would be there for us if we fail. And as I mentioned before, you can always like, what's the worst case scenario? That you go back with zero savings, you have to apply to new jobs and start all over again. So we accept that more than not trying. So we want to try out new things before like already assuming that we'll fail.
And a question or like what would be your message or advice to people who are at a stage where you were, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, 3-4 years ago, not exactly in the beginning, and they're already out, already kind of part integrated, they've finished their minimum obligations of education or traineeship, they're living abroad. Where in the States, Australia, Dubai, Singapore, Africa, doesn't matter. But they also have that fire which you had back then, of like, not sure. I don't want to be the 10,000 or 100,000 employee of this big startup, or I don't want to just follow this conventional path of just buying and competing for the best house, which my other Chinese counterpart also bought. And so, what would be your message to those kind of people who are at that stage? And then maybe not necessarily want to straight away, oh, okay, I'm packing my bags, going back to my home country.
I understand. It's also different for different people. As I say, depends also a lot on your support that you feel and have from back home, from family and friends. And I can imagine, especially for people. For me, it was a bit easier because I have one part of the family here. My wife is from here, so it makes it easier. I can imagine. Take an example. It can be a Chinese couple or an Indian couple living here. That there would be moments where they would really feel alone in a different country, like in a job that they don't like. They feel stuck.
A single.
It would be also. It would be even worse, I think. And I have been in the situation before, as I told you. So what I would say is always ask yourself, like, why? Like, it's maybe a cliche, and I follow this guy, like Simon Sinek. I've watched some of his talks, and he also has this book, like, on why, like, and
start with why.
Start with why. because and yeah, I find it really important because at every moment you have to question it, and after that you have to build like an action plan to, okay, what do I have to do to make some progress, not really achieve that, as you say, like not pack your bags and go home, but make a start. Okay, so if you're working like for a KPMG or something, like a big company, auditing company, but you don't like your job, real life example, I met a couple of people from Mauritius, exactly the same story. And they asked me the same question as well, like, how do you do it? I say, work on your passion. First of all, it's difficult for a lot of people to find what that is. It's clear for me now at this point, but it might change in a few years.
Yeah.
But it can be any area. Just try to build up on that. It can be anything like technical. As I say, I take my example. Like, okay, I like cooking. I want to give cooking workshops. Where can I start? Like, should I go? Should I invest some money to like print some pamphlets and bring it to my neighbors' doors so that like they are my first clients? Because I think your first clients as an entrepreneur are closer than you think. Most people think that they are really far away, but the first people to buy our book were our family members, were our friends, and that's where it starts. And then they talk about with other people. So always make use of that, like of your expat community that you're part of. A lot of people are part of like these expat communities. Talk about your ideas there, slowly build them up. I can imagine not for everyone it's easy, because if you get used to a certain lifestyle, if you have a house and a mortgage to pay or high rent in like Amsterdam or something, you cannot directly say, I stop with my work and I go all in into something. But again, as I said, like ask that why, keep asking, and once you have that answer, start to slowly build on that. And by trial and error, I think you'll find out what's working, what's not working. And I really hope, because I don't have an answer to it, if you will be able to reach to a point that you would not need your job to support yourself. And the second most important is to also ask why on your expenses, and be very strict with that. Because you can really, we also made a video about it, about our fixed expenses in the Netherlands. We don't do on like YouTube videos anymore, but that was one of our first videos. And people were really surprised. There were people who had like 2-3 times more monthly expenses than we have, just because they prefer eating out like once a week or something, but it's quite expensive in the Netherlands. So you have to make hard choices. You have to double up on your savings and cut down on your expenses. Some people say it might be difficult in times of inflation. Yes, of course it is, but it is possible. There's a lot of like unneeded expenses that you can cut on. You can go on and live like how do you say, like smaller. If you're living alone, you can have like a flatmate join you. He can pay like part of your mortgage, kind of. So there's so many ways. Like
Good idea.
So these things I also learned about. Like just you need to cut down your expenses. That means less pressure on you to pursue things that you really like. Because if on a Monday morning you are thinking, like Monday I want to go to work again, then you're not at the right place. You have to do something about it, but you have to start small.
I think there's it's and funnily enough, like what you said, and like even I currently work at Booking, and I'm really passionate about spirituality and meditation, and I'm actually planning to organize meditation workshops within the company for the people of the company, for the employees, and it really came to me as like a change of perspective that, hey, if you have a passion, one thing is that you have like, if you're working at KPMG, for example, and you have a passion for cooking, you have a huge customer base in terms of all of your colleagues who you are close to right then and there, super easy to reach. You typically have an easy portal where you can quickly post it and say, hey guys, like I'm doing this, would you like to do it? And people usually show a lot of interest quite quickly. Is like, you might not like your job, but there are always certain elements of it that you might like. And I think during that duration, in that period, of course, I genuinely wish for anyone that if they tried something like this, that it goes into the direction that they can then slowly and slowly dedicate more and more time, and at some point 100% of their time to what they really enjoy.
Yeah.
But during this time, when it's a bit of both, try to just look at like the small things, the small sparkles that are in your current job, which you might like, and it's a matter of, you have 100% in terms of your time. Okay, 100%, and now you're dedicating 20% to, let's say, your passion workshop,
Right.
and then increase out of the remaining 80, you might be doing 60 for the stuff that you don't like, 20 for the stuff that you like.
Yeah.
Try and figure out a way to increase that 20.
Yeah.
There's definitely scope for that.
There is, yeah.
And that's what is like, if that's the perspective that you have, I think we can just, anyone who doesn't like their job, they can, it's a matter of that percentage.
Or you can find a new job as well. Like there are many jobs out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same as well. Like I work as well now. So like as I said, 3 days a week at the university, in the human resources team, on an anti-discrimination project. So something close to my heart, something that I have a lived experience on. I talk to people. That's something very different from my previous job.
How did you land into it?
Through a friend of mine, again, from Kenya, because you guys have been to Kenya.
Yeah, we just came back.
recently.
Yeah.
So a guy from Kenya.
brought some of the culture back,
Yeah, he told me about it. So he was my successor at the student council. His name is Joshua, and he told me about this vacancy at like at the anti-discrimination project of the university, to be the representative of it. And here also I have the plans to do podcasts with like important people in the university, talk to them about diversity and inclusion and stuff. So I think it just came to me. I was looking for it, but I just called him to just have him. Actually, he has still not been on my show, on the podcast. That was the reason I called him up. But he said, "Hey, Amit, by the way, there's also a vacancy at the university." So he told me about that. I said, that sounds really interesting.
Maybe give an example of what you will actually be doing. In this job.
I'm working since April. It's a limited like project because it's ending on the 1st of April.
Okay.
After that, I'm not sure like how I'll continue and all. Like it's possible that around summer, after summer, that I'm back. And if I like it a lot, that I continue maybe in another position. But the funding will end. The name of the project is Dare. So it's Dare. Because you have to be daring to talk about topics on discrimination and racism at the university. It stands for decolonization, anti-racism, anti-discrimination, equity, and equality. So we made a short form out of it there. We work on different pillars on education. There's a lot of bias in like textbooks, like from colonial times. The university has a lot of history associated with colonialism. But they're taking steps to change that. So they also have a postdoc researcher who's working on finding information about the pre-colonial and like history and association of the university, like to the colonial like era.
So it's quite a comprehensive project.
We are not associated with that project, but our project came up after the Black Lives Matter movement. There was big protest. And there was the Anti-Racist Association of the municipality formed, and that kind of forced the university to do something about this topic as well.
So the end outcome would be, let's say, maybe a change in what is printed in a textbook in terms of the language. Would it be something like that?
In terms of education, how teachers, maybe it can be the same textbook for now. The future, of course, we would want to aim for maybe a new curriculum. But just to be more aware about different cultures that you can have. I can give one example. I was giving, I gave like a lecture or a workshop on diversity and racism in education. And there was a chemistry professor in our group. And he asked, how can I change my chemistry syllabus? Because everything is like, written down. But then again, someone from social sciences was there and asked him, did you ever question yourself that most of the the knowledge in chemistry and textbooks, they originate from the post-World War era, from the 40s, 50s, the periodic table, how it is like. And I was never good at chemistry. My mother is a chemical engineer. But yeah, it's all comes. So it all comes from like that era. But before that, there was also chemistry, and there were other ways of going about it. So whenever you are in your class, you should not say that this is the one and only way a reaction can take place, but this might be one way that we know. But if there's someone from another culture who want to explain that same concept in another way, he should be open, he or she or they should be open to do that. That's not happening currently. Right? We assume that this is what we know, and most of the knowledge is coming from at Dutch universities after the post-World War era, which has to change, like post-colonial era, and because there was a lot of knowledge in ancient cultures like India. I went to this temple in Amsterdam. If you know, you like have this boat tour as well. You get to know in India they were talking about geometry, about algebra, about everything thousands of years back. Even before they were invented, like Aryabhatta is a really famous scientist. Mathematician. Astronomy was also a thing back then, and not something like invention of like zero and stuff. So there's so much to be explored. Why limit yourself to?
It's helping generate that a bit more awareness and a bit more acceptability that, hey, this is one of the answers, not the only answer that exists out there in the world.
Interestingly, the university also has a concept or these talks, and they are called like finding answers together. So I always say like you should really mean that, like finding answers together, because we on this world are with like at the end of the century we would be with like 10-11 billion people. And the Western countries would only be less than 10% of the world population. So when you say finding answers together as a university in the Netherlands with a population that is like half of the city I come from, then you should include 90%. You should not leave them out.
It's a very important topic which you are working on.
Again, because I like it, and then in my free time there's something we thought we'll talk about it like on the podcast. I also do sometimes some side acting, extra roles that my wife suggested to me. She studied media management. That was in the time again when our income went a bit up and down, and we wanted some extra income. So I also have plans again. Discover India with Us also involves making a documentary about Indian food and culture. What we would like to do when we are in India.
Seems like you'll be gone for a long time. I don't think you're coming back in soon.
There's enough to be done for the two of us.
No, really nice. And if you need any, of course, of the camera,
sure. I think we can.
President Kota, you know what? Safari has started.
Oh, nice. I would like to do that. Like from the end of the year, if we like it and the group likes it, we would change the itinerary
because I'm going in the next month. I told you, right?
Okay,
I'm going to for a month. So I'll be meeting all these people. Like again, probably myself also go to safari.
And in fact, I quite like the what you're trying to do, and that's also one of the reasons why we are even doing this, because whenever we've spoken, and we have quite a diverse set of friends here, people from like all over Europe. We also have some friends from India, and they always tell both of us that this was not how they imagined Indian people or Indian men to be like. And we almost take a bit of pride in helping to reshape or create like a different image of what new and modern India kind of looks like. I think in the US, UK, there's definitely probably a lot more awareness of how the country is shaping up now. And that's definitely one of the reasons.
Also in Netherlands, but again, what is far away from you and what you get to know about from media, and if there's a source in between, you're really dependent on that source. And it's happening quite a lot. It's unfortunate that they only focus on certain parts, mostly negative elements, and they show it on media. But the people who have been there, they come up with amazing stories. It's unfortunate it's not talked about a lot in media. So there was Dutch ambassador to India. His name is Frans Tulinga.
Mhm.
He spent, I think, 10 plus years as a Dutch ambassador in New Delhi.
Oh.
He wrote a book about India, and the
Mhm.
title of the book is India, Country of the Future, like land van de toekomst in Dutch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and why Indian people have that extra like edge in their DNA. He talks about, even goes ahead in that, like that they have like why are they good at like IT and maths and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
that they do have an advantage, like in terms of their capabilities and stuff. And he talks about his whole experience, like living in India at that time, in a very positive manner.
Yeah.
So there are people who do this work. Unfortunately, they are not enough.
Yeah.
They can be more. So it's nice that you are also doing this kind of work. I try to do my best as well to project like.
That's the reason we are sitting here. Like,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can identify more people like you
Yeah.
around us and also capture their story. Like,
And yeah, incredibly grateful for the work that you're doing, and how, even if it changes the image of what a country stands for and
Yeah.
what the people stand for, and kind of brings people together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what all of our lives are kind of dedicated for, in bringing people together,
Yeah.
helping one understand another.
Right.
And we're really happy to see how things progress,
Yeah.
and a lot of good wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For things.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what I also see. Like, if even like those 12 people who go with us, like on the tour, they are kind of ambassadors. Like
Yeah.
when they come back to the Netherlands and talk about India, I want them to come back with really good stories, and that's why we would be also traveling with them. So as you said,
yeah, maybe when
Yeah.
one of them who is
Yeah.
more like
you should have them on the
yeah,
show.
on the show, because it's their first time.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to document such people. Like,
Yeah.
close to
All right. Yes, I think this is
We can
this
discuss
is
some of it.
Yeah.
this is it. I like the fact that it almost like naturally went into a conversation where we feel
और अभी तो और topics भी हैं.
अच्छा,
मतलब,
हाँ.
हाँ, मतलब I think I was trying to make sure कि क्योंकि you have a lot to talk, you know, like
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
With that, I think we can say thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
And
चाय भी खत्म हो गई, चाय भी खत्म हो गई,
चाय भी
नकली
खत्म
चाय
हो
भी
गई।
खत्म हो गई.
Yeah.
सही है, सही है. It's cool.
You don't have an ending, or like, or this is okay, you'll just cut it. Yeah, I just said thank you.
No, we can. No,
What? No, I can continue a little bit more.
No, there was
but, we'll see if we can want to put it or not.
Oh yeah.
But I think one of the important parts which you touched, and I would like to go back on that, is because you're a family man.
Yeah.
So your family,
Yeah.
like not your parents or in-laws, but your wife.
Yeah.
and son.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some maybe is not contributing
Yeah,
right now. But it does seem like, because you know, like I'm also not that older than you, and same with him,
Yeah.
and we are all in that similar stage.
Yeah.
It does seem that your partner played a pivotal role in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. As I mentioned.
Yeah, and maybe you would want to give a message to youngsters, or maybe young expat families, or single expats, like what they should look for in a partner, whether that partner is living near to them and maybe from that country or not. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what looking back, what things choices did you made right that it led to that Daniel being in your life, and also contributing, and you're doing great things together, because I think it's quite important, like because a lot of people or couples, even when they're being in this with the same nationality, are facing a lot of challenges. Like their divorce rates are quite high. But you like
no, I don't want to say that our marriage is no marriage or a relationship is perfect, and like having conflicts is a perfectly healthy part of a relationship. So that also happens with us all the time, because we are have two completely different like upbringings, also the way we think about things. So till this day, like maybe this evening, we discuss about something that we don't agree on. But that's how like I learned from a friend of mine from Ethiopia, and he said like when two people talk together from very different ideas, then the third one is born. So yeah, we try to do that, and I think in any
that's a very good statement.
yeah, in any relationship, I think always think you should never start with I. The moment you do that, I think you already start creating like boundaries that are not healthy. And you should always see we. Okay, yeah, it's possible. Okay, you think this way, I think this way. What can be like a middle path that we take, and we do that a lot in a relationship. So no one gets their way 100%. Also, something I learned from I follow a lot of spiritual leaders, like Sadhguru. He also says that life doesn't have to be 100% your way. It's a little bit my way, little bit your way, little bit someone else's way. And that's how it is also in a relationship. So that should be a starting point. And of course, practical matters. We didn't do it before. Luckily, everything like turned out in the same way. But I think to discuss practical things before you enter serious relationships is very important. To discuss if you're an expat in the Netherlands, how often would you want to visit your family back home? Say you're an expat from Mexico and one from India. You met in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So some practical things would be, okay, how much time would be spending in Mexico, how much in India, how much in the Netherlands. You get to know and then find a middle path from there. I think that's very important to really take the other person's thinking also into consideration, and not have like, okay, we do this one our way and that one your way, but try to collaborate and find that third idea in most
And do you think, I think you already alluded to it, that she's of a global citizen. She believes in that concept.
Yeah.
Was it always the case when you met, or has it evolved and
I
changed?
think once she went to Africa, I think like that thinking came up, like that
Location.
Europe is not the like center of the world, and there's like more out there, and there are more different kinds of people. So yeah, we want to also go back to Africa. Like I really got
I
interested.
recommended it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we were planning to do that.
You told me.
Yeah, but because with our son and we have to take care of a lot of health things. Yeah, so we'll do it at a time when he's a bit older. I think that it will be easier for us to try.
Yeah, and different. I mean, if you like wildlife, also it's paradise.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that too, so we can close with the message that you bring two ideas and then the third one is born.
Yeah.
And guys, Tinder definitely works.
Especially back in, and now you have more features. More features always. You never know, but and more options other than.
All right. Thank you. Exactly 1.5